kids lose between 25 to 50% of their academic gains over the summer, then you see the disparity between race and socioeconomic in elementary school. What I find interesting before we pivot over to Wanda is that those same gaps exist in middle school, but you don't see a difference between race and socioeconomic. And I argue, without having any facts, but it's my opinion, I think because parents become less engaged in middle school. And so you think about like the structure, the routine, the control you have of elementary school students. And I think in middle school, you're like, oh, they're in middle school. They don't have to go to summer camp. They can sleep all day. They can do that. And so I literally have no facts on that, but the data does show that the same gaps exist, whether you're in elementary school or middle school, but you see
Mm.
race and socioeconomic status in elementary, but you don't see that difference in middle school. So curious about what you see with middle and high school students, Wanda,
Well, I will
or
speak.
what they should do in summer. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So, um, everything that Tracy said, but then the only thing I would add for the older kids is definitely taking advantage of those enrichment opportunities, whether it's a camp hosted by a university or something that the city is offering, and not necessarily tying it to what their career interests might be. At this stage of the game, it's all about exposure. And the opportunity for exposure provides rationale behind some of the things you're learning in school. And so I would, add to the list, get outside away from the monitor and go to a museum, go to a park, do some things with your hands, um, building things. And, for having had an engineering and tech background, I appreciate learning coding, but I would much rather them actually build something and do something more so than sitting at a computer and putting some lines of instructions together and watching something dance across the screen. Not knocking it for those who do, but
Mm-hmm.
um, we're ushering them into a time frame where you can just give an AI prompt to do that same code for you. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what do you want to do? You want to start giving them opportunities where they're learning about real life. So going to the museum, they're getting some history connections. They're kind of seeing their lessons in class come to life, or giving them something that when they go to their next grade level and they're like, oh wow, okay, I remember seeing something about this. There's the problem solving opportunities that they're giving because a lot of our math standards now are getting more towards modeling more so than just, the basic algorithmic, just solving a math problem, but really
Mm-hmm.
trying to do the modeling with it. So I think the exposure to different things, whether it's local staycation type exposure or going out of town, would just enrich and help during the summer.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I would offer um, is practicing for what you expect for the upcoming school year, not just from an academic perspective, but also from a responsibility perspective. I have found, you know, right now we are working on my son learning laundry so he can like sort. He's 8, he's in the second grade, rising third grade. So he can sort and he can fold his clothes, but we're working on the wash machine. We're also working on like, let's try some things in the air fryer, but like things that I want him to do the next school year where we have a little bit more space to practice and to kind of challenge and stretch. So we're already in the routine for the next school year. I
Mhm.
think that's something to think about. I also think the chores is a real thing. I think there's a lot of parents that feel like
Mhm.
chores is a punishment now and not necessarily like a responsibility of like, and like it's okay for your child to do stuff in the house. It's not like taking them away from their childhood. And so like working on those age appropriate chores, I think
Mhm.
it's a good thing. And then the last thing I'll share is if you can't do anything else, go back to what Tracy and Wanda said and just read. Even if it's another tip is like making the movie closed caption and turning it on mute.
Mhm.
Mm.
And like having the kids do that. You can have them narrate it, take different characters' parts, and like do that on like a family Friday night or something like that. But there's no greater indicator than making sure that your kids read. And there are so many free programs, like the Pizza
Mhm.
Hut Book It thing is back. So free pizzas are back because they were gone for a while. The libraries, all libraries, I think, have
Libraries, yes.
programs and treats, and we're right now trying to win something at our local library. So I think reading, if you feel stressed, is like the one thing you've got to do.